everyone, how are you doing this week? I hope you've all had a great week enjoying that sun we've been having. It's been gorgeous outside. Okay, to start us off, we're going to play a guessing game. Thank you, Eden, for the suggestion for it. But, I can't really hear you guessing at home. What am I going to do? Well, here is my helper. Okay, you ready to play? Okay, I'm gonna give you a hint. There's 4 animals in here. And I'm gonna give you clues so you can try to guess what they are, okay? And you guys can guess at home and see who can guess first. Okay, ready? My first animal, you find this animal in the forest. He can make really loud sounds. This animal, she can be brown, black, or sometimes white. Well, this animal, it could be a girl or a boy. This animal can climb trees. Well, some of them can. So you might have one that you like to cuddle with at night, a stuffed one. Let's see. This animal usually walks on all 4 legs, but it can stand up really, really tall. Part of its name could be a grizzly. We can see it in the zoo. Any guesses yet what animal this might be?
A bear.
A bear! This one's a blue bear though.
Hey, that's mine.
It is yours. Thank you. Okay, ready for the next one? This next animal, lots of people have it as a pet in their house. It's usually pretty quiet. It's an independent kind of pet.
Wait, what?
It's a pet for a lot of people.
Okay.
Some people would say it's the opposite of a dog.
A cheetah?
And it goes, meow.
Cat.
It's a cat.
Hey!
Yeah.
These are all mine.
You'll probably recognize the next one too. Okay, here's a really big hint. This next animal, Pastor Mike has been using it as an example. He's been talking about us. We learned about it a few weeks ago. They like calm water. They eat grass.
Sheep.
Yes, it's a sheep.
Okay, that's Noah's.
Okay, ready? And this last animal, it's orange and yellow. Really, really loud. It's often called the king of the jungle.
A lion.
It's a lion! That's right. And a lion is featured in our story today. Today, Pastor Mike is talking about Psalm 23, verse 4a. So that means he's talking about the first half, verse 4. And it says, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil." That's in the King James Version. Now, what does that mean? Something to think about as we learn our lesson. And the Bible story that we're going to use today is about this guy. Do you remember who he is?
Daniel.
That's right. This is Daniel. Now, Daniel, he loved God with his whole heart. And when he was younger, like a teenager, he had been taken to a country that was not his own. And he ended up working for the king. And God had been with Daniel. And Daniel, over the years, rose to be pretty important. He rose to be in the top 3 people. And the king liked Daniel so much that he was going to put Daniel in second in command. So it's going to go the king, then Daniel, then people under Daniel. Well, not everybody liked this. there was a group of guys who did not like Daniel. And they did not want this to happen. And it's important to know that Daniel, he loved God. And everybody knew he loved God and tried to do what was right. And that he prayed to God 3 times a day. And Daniel didn't pray in a corner. He actually went into his house. He went upstairs to his room and he prayed in front of an open window so that everyone could see him. Well, these guys knew he loved God. And so they tried to think about how they could use that to get Daniel in trouble. Because Daniel, otherwise he didn't do anything wrong. He obeyed the law. He was obedient to God. And they couldn't find anything wrong with him to get the king angry at him. And so these guys talked about it. What can we do? Aha! I know. Daniel prays to God. Let's go to the king. And so the men, they went to King Darius.
What?
And they said, "Oh, king, we think that you should make a law that nobody is allowed to pray to anybody else but you, king, for the next 30 days. They wanted the king to feel very important. And you know what? It worked. So the king went, I like that idea. Okay. And he made it a law, and he had a special ring on his hand that he used to stamp the law, and so it could not be changed. This was it. And the law said that if anyone was caught praying to God, they were going to get thrown into the den of
The lion.
the lion's den. A really big pit with hungry lions in there. And so, once this law went into effect, the men were so happy because they knew that Daniel would pray to God. And you know what? Daniel knew this law. He knew that if he was caught praying to God, he'd get thrown into this lion's den. And so Daniel had a choice. Do you know what his choice was?
To pray to God.
That's right. Daniel had the choice to pray to God, either in front of the window where people could see him like he always did. He could have still prayed to God behind the curtains where no one could see him. Or he had the choice to stop praying. Because that's very important to know. We always have a choice. But Daniel loved God. And Daniel decided to do what was right. And he still went home. And he went into his room in front of the open curtains. And Daniel prayed to God just like he always did. Daniel chose to trust God, even though he knew that by doing this, where everyone could see him like they usually did, he could die. But he still chose to obey God and to do what was right. Well, guess who heard about this? The men heard that Daniel had been praying. And they were so happy that Daniel had broke the law. And they went to the king and they said, King, you know that law you made? Yes. Well, Daniel's been praying. The king was devastated. He had totally forgot that Daniel loved God and that Daniel prayed to God.
But the king didn't want to throw Daniel into the lion den.
That's right. The king did not want to throw Daniel into the lion's den. And he actually tried to change that law. Like all day he worked on it, right up until it was like nighttime. But because he had stamped it with his special ring, there was nothing he could do. So the king and the guys, they had to take Daniel to the lion's den. and they had to throw him in. Remember, these lions are hungry. Yep. Into the lion's den Daniel went.
And
he didn't have any.
Big boulder.
Oh, you're right. I totally forgot that part. It was blocked by a big rock. And actually the king sealed the rock with his ring as well to show that nobody went in there to take Daniel out. And so that night, the king wasn't sleeping. He was having no fun. He wasn't eating. He was up all night worrying.
He did nothing that he usually does.
That's right, he did nothing that he usually did. And as soon as the first rays of light started to break over, the king went running to the lion's den. And he said, Daniel, has your God saved you? Did your God rescue you? And Daniel replied, yes, king. God sent an angel to shut the mouths of the lion. I am not hurt at all. And so they took off the boulder and they opened up the lion's den, and Daniel was safe and sound. And the king could see that there was not one scratch on him. There was no marks at all. Daniel was safe and sound. God had protected Daniel. And because of that, King Darius knew that Daniel's God was the true and living God. And he actually made a new law saying that God was the one that we were to worship and serve and love. We were supposed to fear God. And do you know what happened? Those men that had tricked the king, you know what the king had done to them?
In they go.
They went into the lion's den, and actually their whole families went in with them as well. And the lions,
And they were gone.
yeah, they did not survive this time. The lions were hungry. But God was with Daniel. And we're going to have tough times in life. Life isn't always easy. We have tough decisions to make, don't we? And that's one of the great things about loving God. He doesn't make us love him. He lets us decide for ourselves if we want to serve and obey him. Just like in this psalm, when he's walking through the valley of the shadow of death. Life was scary. We don't know what was happening at that moment. But we know life wasn't easy, and we know that life isn't always easy for us either. But we know that God will be with us, even when it's hard. We're going to end off with two songs. Our first song is called Behold What Manner. Ready? Behold what manner of love the Father has given unto us. Behold what manner of love the Father has given unto us, that we should be called the children of God, that we should be called the children of God. Because that is what we are when we love God and have him in our hearts. We are his children. Okay, and our last song is My God is So Big. And our God is so big, and he is with us always. Ready? My God is so big, so strong and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do for you. My God is so big, so strong and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do for you. The mountains are his, the rivers are his, the stars are his handiwork too. My God is so big, so strong and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do for you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you. I hope you remember that this week, that even when life is scary and crazy and you don't know what's happening, God loves you and he is with you. Bye for now.